The Super Over Podcast.
With me, JP Duminy.
And it's me, Jemimah Rodrigues.
Hello, I'm Flint, and welcome to the Super Over, a cricket podcast full of pro player insight. And that's because we have former South African cricketer JP Duminy, India women's cricketer Jemimah Rodrigues, and a big welcome, especially today, to our guest, who is New Zealand women's cricketer Katie Perkins.
Kia ora.
Look at this.
Thanks for having me.
Katie, welcome.
How you
Thanks for
going,
having me,
mate?
team. Oh, mate, it's all your accent out. You sound like an Aussie. But I don't sound like that, do I? I don't know.
Yeah. Come on, JP. We wanted to feel welcome.
I'm trying to get us settled down. You know what I mean, mate?
Mate, the Aussies are my biggest competitors.
This is just the lockdown effects on JP.
Yeah, good point, Jem. The lockdown has gone to his head.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. We've actually just been extended in our lockdown. So we've been added another 2 weeks. So we've got another 3 weeks to go. Initially, it was 21 days, 3 weeks. And now we are 2 weeks in. And our president has just announced that we've extended it by another 2 weeks. How are you guys going with regards to that, with lockdown, coronavirus and all that?
Katie?
We're just over halfway through what was a 4-week lockdown. So we've got sort of 4 levels that our government sort of labelled, and we're in the highest of those at the moment, so level 4. And the government's sort of trying to figure out at the moment when to peg that back and what that even looks like. So the country's behaving generally pretty well, and our stats show that we're tracking in the right direction. It's just, how we then reverse out of this lockdown is going to be the interesting part.
Yeah. UK has been having some interesting numbers there.
You probably would have thought we'd reacted a bit quicker, but yeah, we're still getting people who think it's all right to go out and have barbecues. I think it's just because we get 2 days of sun a year, and right now, lots of beach bonfires and barbecues, and so really? we're not doing particularly well.
Yeah, what's happening in India there?
India, actually, the date was 14th April. Till then, we had the first lockdown, but everyone's saying that's going to extend even more now. So, things have been taken pretty seriously here. So, and the police guys are doing their jobs. And so, I think it's going to extend even more for us too.
Yeah. So, the interesting thing about this time, and I can honestly say, I don't miss cricket.
You keep saying
I honestly don't. I don't, right? So, but you guys, you guys are in pretty much the twilight of your careers and stuff like that. You guys must be missing getting outdoors and practicing, being with your teammates and so forth. How are you guys coping with that from that front?
We're meant to be preparing for a Sri Lanka series and stuff at the moment, but that's obviously been postponed and more likely will get cancelled down the track. I'm not really missing it, to be honest, in terms of there's just bigger things going on. It's not a priority at the moment. And I'm pretty grateful that I've got another job on the side, which is being a police officer. So at the moment I've gone...
I need to be careful now.
Behave yourself.
Yes.
So you definitely an essential service then.
Yeah, so I'm pretty lucky to be able to go back full time with the police just to assist a bit with this lockdown period and stuff. And once things start to calm down in New Zealand, I'll go back to just part-time with the police and just sort of fulfill my New Zealand cricket contract a bit more. But interesting times in terms of not missing the cricket as much as I would have thought. But like I say, bigger things going on in the world.
Yeah.
So
there you go. You heard it here first. Katie is enforcing the lockdown. So if you're in a district, watch out.
We then can't speak about how we're not adhering fully to the rules on this.
Well, it'd be good to know your tricks and tips so I can catch up people back here maybe. I don't know.
Okay. I didn't know that actually. That's amazing, man. But I do know that from a New Zealand cricket point of view, I think it's even in the men's game. Is it right in saying that most domestic cricketers only get contracted for the actual cricket season, and then outside of that, you find work?
I think they're contracted in maybe 9 months of the year for cricket. So the other 3 months, they've got to. It's pretty hard. Not many employers want you for just 3 months of a year, but at least it gives them an opportunity to maybe upskill in other areas and stuff. And then some boys just do hold on to sort of part-time job throughout the season as well, although pretty difficult. My role within the police was like a work with youth, so working with the young ones starting to come to police attention. So that's now seen as not as such an essential job at the moment to be done, more so just patrolling around, being really high visibility, trying to give reassurance to the community, and also just pull cars over and saying, why are you on the road? Where are you going? It's Good Friday and there's no shops open, so where are you going? That sort of thing.
Wow. So you're dealing with people like Jemi, the youth of today.
Yep, just like.
I can't imagine Jemi being much of a rule breaker though.
Not really. I am a good girl like that.
Are you sure?
Yes, I am.
She wouldn't tell us on here, JP. Come on.
See, I am speaking in front of a police officer, so what do you expect me to say right now? I have to get my best behavior ahead.
I don't see it as a police officer, man. I see it as brothers and sisters in Christ, you know?
There's the one.
Oh, come on. So it's all about being vulnerable and open. This is a non-judgmental platform. We don't persecute here. We show grace, we show love, and, that's what we're about. So please be free to open to share anything, you know?
No, but honestly, I've not stepped out of the house, like out of our house, because it's very strict over here. So like following the rules, and if we follow the rules, then only other people in India are going to follow us and follow the rules. So it's very important for us also, to keep that in mind while doing it. So and you were saying, I do miss cricket because I am someone who doesn't like to sit at home for a long time. I love stepping out. I love hanging out with my friends and everybody. So it's kind of challenging times for us. That means even by the way the numbers are going, and so many things happening all around the world and this virus. But focusing on the brighter side, this is something that after so long, like especially in India, since we have a lot of cricket going on in India, this time we're actually getting quality time with the family, and I'm really enjoying it at home. So yeah,
it's cool, man. How do you guys actually know each other besides obviously now playing the game?
So a sports chaplain tied in with Hillsong over in Australia. I was in the WhatsApp group. Yeah, Adi Shepherd in the WhatsApp group that he set up, and then must have, met Jimmy or met your coach and the fielding coach, Biju. And then, I don't know, just LinkedIn, and then it just coincided with a tour that Jimmy came over to New Zealand with. And so we just hit it off straight away. Like took them sightseeing around New Zealand, up the mountains and stuff.
Katie was our tour guide over there. She took us all over New Zealand. We climbed mountains and whatnot we did. So we had a great time. First time I met Katie was in New Zealand. She had come to our hotel, and she's I think she was friends with one of our teammates.
Right.
And so then through her we started speaking to Katie, and she's like, come on guys, I'll take you out to Rome in New Zealand and all that. So we had a great time over there. She took us, sightseeing, climbing mountains, and actually it was a great time, right, Katie?
Yeah, it was awesome. I think I hung out with India more than my own team.
Yeah, more than.
But here's the question on that. So, Jem, you can probably answer this. So in that time when you spent with Katie and she taking you around and so forth, did she wave a badge to anybody just to like bypass certain things?
Yeah, good question.
No, not
restricted areas. No, don't worry about it. Go here.
No,
I'd already
like
called
that.
ahead, so it was fine.
Yeah. How's everyone's Easter been? What have you guys been doing? It's been good.
Easter, yeah. I have been loving the fact that we're doing this recording, of course, Easter weekend. And it does feel really bizarre, doesn't it, being confined inside where naturally Easter, it's all about family. It's all about hitting the road. Like Katie said, everyone's trying to get up the motorways to go and see family or friends. So Easter has a little bit of a different feel this year. But I suppose the main essence of it, in that we're going to be hanging out with community online and doing church services and just remembering what Easter is about, that doesn't change.
Yeah.
Katie?
Not really seeing anyone. I've worked Good Friday as well, and just spending the rest of it at home, catching up on church online. We have a couple of family catch-ups over Zoom. And pretty much the big event will be Easter dinner with my flatmate tomorrow. So
nice.
He's
Who's
got
cooking?
it all prepared. Him, because I suck at cooking. I'm good at. I can chop the vegetables. I've taken that job. So yeah.
And Jem, how's your Easter been?
I think it's pretty much same like as you guys have said. Normally we go and catch up with the family or go out at church service, but nowadays we're having church live at home on the TV. And it's the same thing, I think, just being with the family and, spending time with the family, also remembering, like, why are we celebrating Easter? Like, because of what Jesus has done on the cross and his resurrection. So we had that conversation also with our family, just a small discussion about, why do we believe what we believe and all that. And it was a really good time, it was a good time even for our family to bond together and, just spend time. So, yeah, that's how my Easter is looking.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. We actually had a nice lunch yesterday. So, Katie, you wouldn't know this, but I think they would. So my mom, brother, sister, brother-in-law, and nephew are all staying with me during the lockdown. So we've planned.
Hopefully,
we've planned
big
pretty
house
well. Yeah, it's decent enough. So we all have our own space, but also, it's nice to actually spend quality time together. So my brother's actually a chef. I mean, we have planned this properly.
Yeah.
My brother's a chef, so he's, maintaining his skills by cooking for us every day. So literally we get a message on our WhatsApp group, family WhatsApp group, right? Lunch is up, breakfast is up, dinner's up. Oh man, it's priceless.
So your house is
Yeah.
become a hotel.
Enjoying his life while everybody else do the work. Nice.
Yeah, exactly. So I get an opportunity to speak to you guys, and it's been awesome, eh? And it's really cool just to have those special moments that you wouldn't necessarily have. You'd have glimpses of it, but now, as Jem, as you said, you're kind of like, yes, you're a little bit forced, but it's an opportunity really to connect on a deeper level. But also, one would find that it'll be possibly a time also where a lot of conflict will happen. So, interesting in South Africa, I've been watching a little bit of the news, and they're speaking about how many domestic violences there's been since lockdown. It's actually been scary. And in terms of, I had this conversation with Liam in our video chat a couple of days ago. And in the first week, there were 17,000 arrests in South Africa, with people going against the rules and regulations that the president has put in place. So it's a little bit different than New Zealand.
Yeah. We're a bit nicer over here. We're a bit soft, but
yeah. But anyway, and Katie, interestingly, I've been doing a little bit of research and reading up on your story, and
here we go.
It's only good things. It's all good stuff. But I'm interesting to hear the actual intricacies of your coming to faith and your relationship with God, and how that has impacted cricket. But also, I mean, I look at you as a police officer, and finding that balance between, having your faith and, the scripture that you mentioned, that really speaks to you is 2 Timothy 1 verse 7. For God has not given us a spirit of fear and timidity, but of power, love, and self-discipline. So that is something that has been something in cricket. But if you think about your actual work, your job as well, how do you implement that in that work life? I'll be interested to hear that story.
Yeah, I guess that verse can apply to everything. Like in cricket, it's sort of power, love, and self-discipline are the three, I guess it's 4 words that I write on my arm every game, just to sort of reinforce it in my mind. And then it's just always a reminder there. Then I guess in a workspace, it's sort of that love for people, regardless of the situation you're currently dealing with them in. If they're a victim of a crime, if they're the offender, well, having a bigger view as to why they've offended. Like, you're not in a good place if you're offending generally. So just having that wider perspective on things, and then having that self-control and discipline to not judge, I guess, and just do my job to correctly, not breach the rules, just not allow emotion to take over, whether I feel particularly negative towards someone for whatever reason, because maybe what they've done. So there's all that sort of stuff overlaps. But it, sort of in terms of my faith and how I came to that, I've got that classic sort of grew up in a Christian home, but it wasn't until I was about 15 that I sort of clicked, I guess, for myself, and prayed that, I believe in God, believe that Jesus died for me, and gave my heart over to God at that time. And then it wasn't, then I guess I really struggled from that point to actually, cricket was what all my self-worth was wrapped up in forever. My goal of playing for New Zealand was all I ever wanted to do. And then I'd, play for my domestic team for Auckland, and I was so aware of selectors being around and whatnot, and it would just have such an impact on my performance. So I'm no good with personal expectation on me. Game pressure I thrive on, but personal pressure I just sink. And so I went through seasons of just maybe starting well, and then personal expectations taking over, and I just would sink and have a shocker. And I was just, my emotions rode on my performances. And it wasn't until I must have been about 22, and I got to the point where I was like, I never felt so far away from playing for New Zealand. I got dropped from the domestic team I was playing for our last game of the season. I was just like, oh gosh, incredibly worth it. And by the time I made my debut, I was a bit older, I was 23, and I knew myself so much better, and God was in the center of it as opposed to a part of it, if that makes sense. Yeah.
That's amazing. Jemmy, for people who maybe don't think of Easter this way, for a lot of people it's about chocolate, it's about Easter eggs and bunnies and stuff like this, and just basically about being with family. What does Easter mean to you?
I think for me, today, since Jesus died on the cross, he took our sins, he was punished, and he rose again from the dead. So today we have that free access. So today I can just come to God, who is now our Father. I can just come to him just the way I am. I don't need to come to him through a holy person or through a priest or through a leader. I can just come to him just the way I am. And that is something that has framed my life and changed the way I see things. And to realize that God loves you, no matter what you've done, as Katie said, that what causes us and, helps us love people. If God can love a person like me, who's so bad and, who's so imperfect, so that causes me to love one another and the people around me. And I definitely believe, it's so inspiring to hear, Katie's story too, how in spite of, what they have done, to actually see what they're going through and see why do they do what they do, and to judge them like that, because the first thing only we want to do is to judge people, but that's not the way God even sees us. He loves us in spite of who we are and what we have done. So I think that's what Easter is actually about, because of Jesus and because of his love, that today we enjoy this life, and we have to just share that same love with the people around us.
Wow. Preach it, sister.
Yeah. That's
Yo,
so
that was
beautiful,
on.
man.
Hillsong? Are you listening?
It's just amazing that we have these platforms to really engage with one another on different levels. Katie being, what are you now, 31?
Yeah.
Jem 19. Exactly. Liam 55.
Yeah.
So
Oh no, don't let the grey hair deceive you. 27.
But it's just amazing, man, and I'm so grateful for these opportunities. And I shared this with Jem and Liam, that I had a great experience a few days ago, that through this platform, a friend of mine reached out who lives in Dubai. I won't mention names or anything like that, but he lives in Dubai, and he reached out. And because of the platform that we share here, he was listening to our podcast, and he had been experiencing this emptiness inside of him for so long. And by listening to us speak and share, he then realized what actually was missing in his life. And all of a sudden, he reached out to me. We engaged over video call, and he gave his life to Christ over video call. Man, how good is that? Purely because, well, not purely because, but we were part of that. It's not about us, is it? I've got to be careful about that. But we were pawns in that process. You know, we were soldiers in that process of being faithful and obedient to a calling, and which allowed people to come to know who Christ is, which is beautiful.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's a really cool story.
So good to have, you know, women's cricketers on board, and it'd be interesting to know where they feel the game of women's cricket is going, and in particular the T20 cricket, the World Cup that you guys experienced. Where do you feel the game's going, guys?
Go, Jimmy. You're in the thick of it at the moment.
You know, I was talking to a few of my teammates before the finals, and even after the finals, I just asked them. They were like, you know, for us to just stand over there in front of more than 86,000 people, you know, it's crazy. And even if you had heard Healy, she when she was receiving the player of the match, she said that, you know, this is something that's never happened before. And she told that the start, when I came to know that, you know, we are playing at the MCG and they're trying to get a crowd of more than 90,000 people, she said, even if Australia doesn't reach the finals, I just want to come and just witness that match, that women's cricket match, because that is something so amazing that never happens. And I was speaking to my teammates, and they were like, you know, we remember playing at the MCG where actually hardly anyone, like just family and friends were there, but like the whole
I've
stadium
had
was
that
empty.
game. I played at the MCG, and there's been about 50 people, and it's like, what are we doing? You yell, it just echoes around the stadium. It's like, oh god.
Yeah, so their reaction was the same. Like, no, literally nobody was there. But you know, for that night to witness more than 86,000 people was something really amazing, and you cannot describe it in words. And I think that's, you know, women's cricket just starting to rise and, you know, go to a whole new level.
It'll be interesting to see how the momentum can be sustained. Like the next pinnacle event, I guess, is going to be in New Zealand. We hope, coronavirus aside at the moment. In 2021 One Day World Cup, and I think New Zealand will have learnt a lot from what we've just witnessed in Australia with the T20 World Cup, and take as many learnings from as possible. And if it means we have to get in a superstar to come and sing at some point during a final or something,
we can invite JP. He sings really well.
Yeah, who would that be though, Katie? Who would be like a big New Zealand? Who would you get in?
There's Lord. Have you heard of Lord?
Yeah, Lord. Oh, I didn't realise she was Kiwi.
She's pretty popular. She's sort of fallen off the radar recently. We have a Kiwi band called 660, which Kiwis just love. So maybe they'd flock and turn up for that. Don't know. Well, we need a brainstorming session, maybe.
Yeah, have a breakout group.
Put our suggestions through.
Yeah. Okay. In terms of challenges, what do you think the women's game are facing at the moment?
That risk of the rich getting richer and the poor getting the crumbs, and that just opens up that gap. So your big three of India, Aussie, England, like they're, especially Aussie, England, massive amounts of money in it, with India, huge profile and great momentum currently there. And it's just ensuring that the other countries don't fall too far behind, because at least in the T20 World Cup, almost anyone can beat anyone on the day, and we sort of saw that a little bit. And it was great to see South Africa in the semi-finals and stuff. But yeah, I think New Zealand cricket probably missed a trick a while ago, not getting us girls more towards that full-time contracting early enough. And that, you know, we didn't, missing the boat was something I was always a bit worried that might happen. And so we are now playing a bit of catch up to get back to the sort of to level with the likes of India and England and Aussie. But yeah, it's just that's the thing. Don't want to see the top countries like scratch ahead of us and we can't actually catch up.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that actually, just in terms of time scale. Do you think it's going to be long before it is more of an even playing field and all countries will be able to say we're going to be able to employ all our female cricketers full time? You're not going to have to worry about other jobs. Do you think that's a long way off, even for New Zealand? Or do you think over the next few years there could be big strides made now if the popularity is going to keep ramping up and ramping up?
Yeah, I think big strides. It's definitely, I don't know the situation for all countries. Jemmy might know a bit more, but like New Zealand's definitely tracking in the right direction. We've got a really great players association who are really pushing us for more money so that the girls can be full-time. For me personally, I actually know that I almost need another job, like by being with the police, even if it is just part-time, that just actually gives me better balance because I need that to be a better cricketer. Other people maybe just want to totally live and breathe cricket, and that's awesome. And if New Zealand cricket can allow them to do that with enough money, then that'll be amazing as well. Yeah. Jimmy, what do you think?
Yeah, I think the major challenge in India right now is, for people changing their minds towards women's cricket, because in India, the culture is very different compared to how is it in Australia or New Zealand or anything. Like, I'm not saying it's wrong, but it's kind of different to how people abroad or, in other countries think. Like, for a girl to, do something, it's like, no, like you're getting what I'm saying. Like, she's a girl, how can she do it? And all that. But things have been changing. Like, when I started playing cricket and I took up the sport, everybody came up to my parents and what are you doing? I mean, she's a girl, she can't play cricket and this and that. So I think that is one of the major things that, people are struggling with in India. Definitely it's changed drastically, from the time I started playing till now. But, for me, I was actually blessed to have my parents who were like, so what if she's a girl? If she loves doing it, then she can just go ahead and do it. So, that is one of the major struggles here in India. But, things are changing. And I strongly believe that, the better we play, the better cricket we play, things are going to change even more. Like, more people are going to watch, more people are going to follow. And as you're saying, the difference between men's cricket and women's cricket and like how they are paid and everything, I strongly believe that it's going to change, the better we do. Like, BCCI is doing a great job now. We've got contracts like throughout the year for us. And, it's really nice that we can, just focus on cricket, because even like for Katie and other people out there, it's actually a struggle to balance cricket. You go, you practice, you hit the gym, and then you're literally tired at the end of the day. But still, to survive, you have to take up another job. So, that's a big challenge. But, hats off to these guys. Like, they're so dedicated and, so determined to do what they have to do. I mean, I just feel, what am I doing? I'm just playing cricket over here.
I was going to ask, so pretty much across India, regardless of whether you're from a wealthy family or the poorest of the poor, is that feeling or perception of women not playing sport, is that the same across the board?
Yeah, it's it's pretty much the same. But now things have started to change. After the 2017 World Cup, like, people have actually started accepting, like, okay, like, women's cricket does exist in India, and even a female can actually take up cricket as her profession. So, like, things have started changing. And even now in the domestic circuit, like, to start cricket, it might take some effort and some money. But once you are playing for a state team or a domestic team, they are well supported right now. Like, they are actually paid well and they're supported well. So, that it's a great opportunity even for someone who's not that well to do, to take up cricket as a sport.
Cool.
Yeah, wise thoughts from the future captain of the India women's cricket team.
There we go.
Every episode, we have to get a plug in.
The amazing thing here, Liam, is like Jim speaking about Indian fans and the sort of perspective on India in general. But whenever you ask, like on social media, if you ask public questions, there's always somebody that wants to marry Jem. We saw we saw that. But I know we've got a couple of fan questions that have come through. So what questions do we have for each of us?
Yeah, so we'll save the marriage proposals maybe for like an end of season special. And Jemmy can just like sieve through 500,000 responses.
Yeah.
She's never going to be short of options, that we do know. We've got some questions for everybody. So let's start with Katie, shall we?
Yeah.
This
Sure.
is where pronunciations are horrific. Jemmy might need to help. On Instagram.
Sneha Duri. Yeah.
There you go. So if I say it wrongly, Jemmy, you just speak over the top of me. That's great. Katie, she asked, what's the first thing you will do once the lockdown is over that you can't do currently?
Probably depends on the social distancing rules and how relaxed they've become. But probably going and seeing my parents who live in a different part of the city that I'm in would be really cool, because they're sort of in that older age group that you don't want to be around too much in case they get sick. So catching up with them and my sister, and just sort of hugging my friends. I just see people I actually enjoy being around, and just giving them a hug and be like, oh yeah, you do, you're still here, that's good.
Yeah, get back on the social scene.
Yeah.
And your second question, Sandeep asks, what's your favourite movie?
Well, my favourite movie ever is Aladdin. Like, what a classic. Yeah.
Real classic.
The cartoon version, the animated version, not the real human one. But then also a big fan of Armageddon, how Bruce Willis saved the world with,
Wow.
exploding the meteorite and stuff. And then actually Amazing Grace on a totally different spectrum.
Yeah, we're going all over the shop here.
Yeah. Which is the sort of story of William Wilberforce and the abolition of slavery. So I love that movie as well. But
Okay.
Aladdin still tops them all.
Yeah, very varied selection there.
Eclectic mix, yeah.
We're gonna have to ask you to sing a song from Aladdin then. No.
Well,
Oh, look, I can't
JP's so
sing,
harsh.
but for my 21st birthday, my family did manage to find a video of me and my cousin when I was probably about 7. He'd been about 13. We used his duvet cover as our magic carpet and have done a whole new world to the old video recorder, and it comes out at every moment they ever want to embarrass us. So yeah.
Lovely.
I'll have to leave it to imagination.
Yeah. It's best there. Yeah.
Okay. All right, JP, you're up.
Yes, mate.
Jesuin Abdil asks, which bowler, when you were playing, scared you the most to face?
Across the shores of Katie there, Mitchell Johnson, he was scary at times, man. Especially when you walked into bat and then he just tells the umpire, coming around, mate.
You know you're about to get peppered in those ribs.
You just know you're going to get peppered, and you're kind of waiting on the back foot already. So, yeah, he was a scary bowler to face at times, man.
So is it an actual fear? Are you actually physically going, I'm really scared? Or is it more this is going to be a bit of a fight, adrenaline?
Yeah, it's a bit of both. I think, you, as a batter or as a player, you don't want to show your fear necessarily, emotionally. So you kind of, chest out and, no, I'm not scared, but, deep down you are.
Oh, yeah, he was scary, to be fair.
Yeah, he was.
Okay, and a bit more of a technical question. The Inscrutable on Instagram, cool name, asks you, since you bowl with your right hand but bat with your left, are you naturally a lefty or a righty?
Ambidextrous is probably the best answer, because the interesting thing, I play tennis left, table tennis left, I play pool left-handed, kick right foot, right with my right hand, bowl right-handed. Yeah, so it's just confusing.
All kinds of messed up.
Yeah, all kinds of messed up. So that's the best way to put it, ambidextrous.
Okay. Yeah. Jemmy. No marriage proposals, you'll be pleased to know in this one. Prasad Power asks, which drills do you perform to perfectly time the ball? Seeing as that's what you're known for.
Which drills? I think for me, it's not specifically a kind of a drill. It's just keeping this thing in mind that I don't want to hit the ball too hard, because every time I try to hit the ball too hard, I miss my timing. So I just focus on hitting the ball on the sweet spot of the bat. So that's how, I work on my timing.
Have any of you guys ever had that sock, the ball in a sock, and you let it hang and you just hit back and forth? This would be perfect now for lockdown. Have any of you ever done that?
Yeah, I've done that a lot.
That's good. That's good for your timing, isn't it?
Yeah.
JP, your face.
It's a bit boring, that, mate.
Said like the true ex-cricketer that he is.
Yeah, exactly.
No time for that anymore. Okay, Jem.
Mm-hmm.
Akhil Reddy asks, who is your favourite overseas cricketer? So
And it can't be Katie.
no Rohit Sharma today.
Yeah, no Rohit Sharma today. I think
Come on, Jimmy. Come on.
JP Duminy.
Oh, fair enough.
Sorry, JP.
Not JP Duminy, eh? Jeepers.
Oh, no.
Okay.
I think
enough.
you lost it. You lost it when you said that you were scared of Mitchell Johnson. Like you were here. Now Jemmy's like, oh, this guy. No.
No, fair enough. No, he's one of the world's best, so can't argue with that, eh?
That's true. Good old AB, Mr. 360. Right, this is cheating because we're having two each, but I love this question so much and it came in last minute. I want to ask it anyway. Jemmy.
Rajeshwari.
That's it.
Yeah.
Jemmy's doing this next time. Asks, this is a great question. What would be a suitable title for your autobiography book one day? What would you name your book? Well, we can all brainstorm that right now.
Audience of one. Boom. Done.
Oh. Nice.
Come on, Jem.
I really don't know, man. I just thought of keeping it just my name. The Autobiography of Jemimah Rodrigues. That's it. Not yet thought about it.
That's not
I know
gonna.
it's very boring, but
Yeah, that's not going to sell. I was thinking the female Sachin.
Oh, okay.
No pressure.
Nice one.
No.
You're going to
But
have to
I think
pay him
Rajeshwari
the
you
rights
can
for that.
Yeah, Katie, what do you think it should be called? Jemmy's book.
I'm not creative on the spot, but something to do with the guitar has to be in there somewhere as well. Probably
Yeah.
something musical.
Just
Yeah, I like
just
that idea.
Jemmy. Okay. I think we do need to actually come up with a system for future reference for all these people who want to marry Jemmy. I think we should almost have like a PO box. Send in your emails here, and we need to watch out for Jemmy. So JP, you and I can go through them, like sieve through them.
Yeah.
So our podcast is turning into a matrimonial site.
Yeah, man. Why not?
Yeah, I think this is the
It's
best.
one
way
of
to
those
do it.
arranged marriages situation where we get to pick them.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Yeah. So tell me, just kind of like in closing, Katie, if you obviously a little bit further down the line in terms of your career and experience, do you have any parting advice for Jemmy? Particularly as her statue continues to grow as a cricketer and as a woman in Christ.
I think already in Jimmy's advantage is that she's already got such a humble personality. Like that's something I've observed from afar and in my time hanging out with her as well. And I think especially in that Indian context where you're treated like a god or goddess, like it's pretty easy, I think, for the ego to get expanded beyond what you can control in those environments. And I think Jimmy's faith has sort of already shone through in terms of her being so grounded. So just like keeping really strong to that would be my best advice. And then also when, like on another totally side note, just really enjoy the opportunities when you are traveling about, whether it's domestically within India or around the world, like take those opportunities to make a difference to people as well. Like if it's just ensuring that you share a smile and a look to someone who's actually going to value that so much and it's going to make their day. or it's an opportunity to volunteer somewhere on an off day with cricket, but it gets you out of the hotel and mixing with a different culture or a different community. I think those are opportunities that, just because of the privileged position we have as international cricketers, that come up, and just take every opportunity you get, because you just don't know when those opportunities will stop. Because I know, who knows what cricket looks like for the next little while with this coronavirus situation. So just enjoy it, the heck out of it, while you've got it.
Awesome,
that's my advice.
Thanks, Katie.
Little mic drop.
I think I've changed my mentor from JP to Katie.
Yes. That's all I was after.
That's the only reason she came on.
Being kicked down and trampled on these days.
Sorry about it.
You're under threat, man. You're under threat. Yeah. Katie, it's been so good to have you on. Thank you so much for your time and being with us.
It's been awesome. Thanks for having me. It's real privilege. Thanks. I'll be back in a heartbeat.
Tell us about all those people you've arrested in the next month.
We can bring some stories, that's for sure. No dramas.
Okay, guys, that's all we have time for today. Thank you so much once again to Katie Perkins, New Zealand cricketer. JP Jemi will catch you very soon. Do remember, if you're listening to this, you can go and find us on social media. We're there, the Super Over, on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. Go give us a follow and get those marriage proposals in for Jemi as well. So until then, I'm Liam Flint. We'll see you very soon. Bye for now.